So you want to publish a coloring book, but you don't know how? Well, today I'm going to be showing you 3 ways to create a coloring book to sell on Amazon KDP using Canva in 2024. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Latoya Nicole, and a few years back, I created my very first coloring book to sell on Amazon KDP. That grew into a multi-six-figure coloring book business, and I know that as an entrepreneur, sometimes we need to take breaks and have a little me time. If that's you, I highly recommend you check out my books on Amazon or on entrepreneurscolor2.com. But like I said, today I'm going to be showing you 3 ways that you could create your coloring book to sell on Amazon KDP. So if you've been struggling, I got you covered. So keep watching to the end of the video. And speaking of struggle, earlier I was studying Romans chapter 7. And just to give a little context about what Paul is saying in Romans chapter 7, he starts by talking about how the law of marriage works in this world. So he's saying that if a woman has a husband in this world, then by law, she's bound to or tied to her husband until he dies. And then in the next verse, he goes on to say that similarly, the law of God works in the same way. If you're married to the body of Christ, you can't also be married to the body of sin and death. So when we were born, we were automatically married to the body of sin and death. Now, how do we get married to the body of sin and death? I ain't signed up for that. Both of these bodies were represented by a tree in the garden. So this body was represented by the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This body was represented by the tree of life. In the garden, they were given a law that said, out of every tree in the garden, you are free to eat, but do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or you will die. And so when they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they died. Not only them, everyone that came after them died, right? So that is how we were connected to this body because of that. What Paul is saying is when the law of the commandments came, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not steal. Because he was still tied to this body of sin and death, even though he knew the commandments were good and holy, there was nothing that he could do because the body that he was connected to could only produce evil or the things that were tied to that body. So he was saying that his mind knew the right thing to do, but he had no body to perform the things that his mind knew to do out of because he had not yet been joined to the body of Christ. So he's going through a struggle because he feels like he can't get the victory because what he knows to do, he can't perform it. So Paul is like, who's going to set me free from this body that I'm connected to? So since the only thing that can dissolve a union is death, as a believer, when Jesus died, we died. When Jesus rose, we rose. And now we are connected to the body of Christ. So love, compassion, all of the attributes that flow out of the body of Christ, those are the things that we're connected to. Just this morning, I went through a struggle because I had went and got a physical a few weeks back or whatever. So you know how they check your vitals and your weight and everything. So I'm waiting on a doctor to come in and give me her feedback. She comes in and she turns her little laptop to me and she's like, you see this right here? These were your numbers last time you came. And then this was your weight today when you came. So she was letting me know I needed to lose weight. I had made this plan. One of the things in my plan was I was going to work out 3 to 5 times a week for 20 minutes. So I was up there looking on YouTube today. I was like, let me find me a cardio workout video that I can follow. Found one. It was 15 minutes long, right? I was like, perfect. I'm up there working out, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, and so y'all, I paused the video to see how long I had been working out because I was so tired. Listen, I didn't even get to the 15 minutes. It was such a struggle for me to keep stamina all the way to the end because I don't work out a lot. But does that mean that because I went through a struggle that I give up? Does that mean that I stop? No, it simply means that I keep persevering until I get the victory. Just like we got the victory through Christ, those same principles can be applied to your everyday life and everything you do. You've been struggling to get this book done? Let's talk about it. So the first way that you can create a coloring book is by hiring an illustrator. So when I published my very first book, 24 Shades of Business, I hired an illustrator because I wanted to make sure that I had original images. I also wanted to make sure that I had the ownership of the images. So I was looking on Amazon and I was just going through some of the books that I could find that had the type of artwork that I was looking for. So back then, there were no coloring books that had realistic Black women on the covers. So I couldn't search through the coloring books to find it, but I searched through some of the children's books that had diverse images on them. So I was going through the books and I would look at the look inside feature to see if the illustrator was listed, or I would look beside the author's name to see if the illustrator was listed there. And so I found an illustrator that I love the artwork of, and then I contacted her through social media as well as her email address, just introduced myself and kind of told her what I was looking for. And so she responded back. We started going over the rates and we started going over what I wanted as far as the rights to the images, the timeline that it would take to finish the art, and any other questions that I had. So I know sometimes in Facebook groups, I run across some people that are looking for illustrators and they kind of do the opposite of what I did. So they will put up a post in Facebook that says something like, hey, I'm trying to make a children's book. Are there any artists in here that can help me? And then all these artists will just like respond. But I kind of did the opposite because I knew specifically what I wanted. So I didn't want to kind of just put a pitch for everybody to sign up for because I wanted to find someone who already had some type of work on Amazon because that's where I was going to be publishing at. So I was just a stickler that I wanted to go with somebody who had already done it before. Another way that you can hire an illustrator is by using freelance sites like Upwork. Now, I've used Upwork a couple of times for coloring book images when I was helping someone one-on-one create their images. So when you're looking on Fiverr and sites like that, you can do a basic search for the type of artwork you're looking for, like coloring page images, African American coloring book, whatever type of images you're looking for. And then you can just send them a message and then you two can converse from there to see if that's someone that you're willing to hire to create the artwork for you. So the second way to create images, this is going to be for all of my artists or people who know how to do basic drawings. You can use apps like Procreate to start creating your own images. So let's say you want to do something basic like a cat coloring book or a dog coloring book, and you're just outlining the simple image to put inside of your coloring book because maybe you want to do like a children's activity book and you just need simple line art. Then you can do those things yourself if you're artistic or creative or know anything about drawing whatsoever. Let's say you're already an artist and you already have a portfolio of all these images that you've created from back in the day. You can use Procreate to trace those images and use them as coloring book images. And let's say you don't already have a portfolio and you just need some ideas because you already know what kind of images, but you're just looking for inspiration so that you can draw the images that you see. Then you can use things like AI to gain inspiration by putting in the type of image you're looking for and then kind of outlining or tracing some of the image to create your own coloring book. And speaking of AI, that brings me to the third way to create coloring book pages, which is using artificial intelligence like Midjourney. So I've recently been playing around with AI artwork. I created 2 types of books under one of my pen names. The first type of book I created was a grayscale coloring book. And then I've also created an AI coloring book that had black and white lines. Both ways have a specific niche that like those type of books, but Midjourney is subscription based, so the lowest plan is around $10 a month currently. And then when you get ready to use the images and you're uploading them to KDP, you just have to make sure you disclose that they are generated using AI. So in my coloring book course at Book Bag University, I actually go through this process step by step of how I created both of these books from start to finish. So once you have all your images together, you can head over to Canva using the link that I'll leave in the description below. And you can use the free version to start putting your book together. Or if you decide that you need to upgrade so that you can quickly resize your designs, remove any backgrounds in your images, then you can do that as well. As you can see here, we're on the yearly, but if we change it to monthly, then you'll see where it's $14.99 a month for the pro plan. There's also a free version. I use the free version for years. I do use Canva Pro now, but starting out, you're just fine using the free version. But I just wanted to let you know that you do have options if you did want to upgrade. So once you've signed up for Canva, you would just go to create a design. And then for my coloring books, I usually use 8.5 by 11. That is the standard size. And then I click on create new design. Once I click on create new design, I'll go ahead and start uploading the images that I have saved either from my Illustrator or from my AI tool. And then I'll go ahead and start putting my book together. I do usually insert a blank page behind each page that I create so that if the customer is using any type of markers or anything, it has less of a chance of getting onto the next page. And then go ahead and put everything together like you like it. And then once you have all your pages, then you can go ahead and download this as a PDF document so that you can upload it into KDP. If you've never registered for a KDP account, then you would go to kdp.amazon.com to register. Once you sign up for your account, you would click on this yellow Create tab here, and then you would go ahead and start creating your paperback book. KDP has 3 sections, which are your paperback details, which includes your title, your description and things like that. Then it also has the paperback content section where you enter in your ISBN number, the type of paper you want for your book, and your manuscript that you saved from Canva as a PDF file. And then under the 3rd section for paperback rights and pricing, this is where you're going to enter in the marketplace you want to sell to, which if you're in the United States, most people want to sell to Amazon.com. Then you'll go ahead and enter in your royalty information here. As you can see, for paperback books, you get a 60% rate. And if I were to do this particular book at $8.95, then the amount of money that I would make for my royalty each month is $2.53. But you can play around with the pricing and until you get it to a price that you're comfortable with. One thing I suggest is look at other coloring books that are in your niche to see what they're selling for and kind of gauge it that way. Once you're done there, then you would scroll to the bottom. Make sure you read over KDP terms and conditions. I usually request a proof of my books and then go ahead and publish your paperback book. It usually takes up to 72 hours and then you'll receive an email letting you know if your book has been published. So if the idea of creating a coloring book has been a struggle for you and you already have your vision, but you're just struggling because you don't know the next step, you don't know if you should hire, you don't know if you should learn how to use AI or what to do in your specific situation, that does not mean that you stop at just the idea. Because remember that as believers, we're married to Christ and Christ got the victory. And so your victory in this specific situation would be accomplishing what you set out to do. So even if there's a struggle along the way with creating the coloring book, just make that into simpler steps. So maybe you're like, oh my God, I have the best idea to create a coloring book, but I'm just so overwhelmed because I don't know what to do next. So break it down into smaller steps and maybe say, okay, well, maybe I want to try hiring somebody to do one image to see if that's something I want. Maybe I also want to try to see if I can create my own artwork. So maybe start there and do one image here and then one image there and then see what you like the best, see what works best for you, and then keep going on your journey so that you can complete your project and get the victory because you're part of the body of Christ and you're connected to Him. So victory lives in you. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing to my channel. That way I know to keep putting out more content like this. And until next time, bye-bye.